Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. A Detroit Free Press analysis of mortgage data reveals just how slow the mortgage market is in the city of Detroit. The report shows that few black people are getting mortgages in the city. And in fact, white people received almost the same number of mortgages as blacks in 2017, even though they make up a much smaller percentage of the city's population. Joining me now is Free Press columnist John Gallagher, along with Libby Palackdharry, Senior Director of Financial Stability Programs at Southwest Solutions. Thanks to both of you for being here.
Thank you.
So, John, tell me about this analysis. What did you find?
Well, the mortgage market, which used to be almost non-existent in the city of Detroit for a lot of reasons, including outright discrimination and redlining back 50 years ago, has gotten a little better in the last few years. We're now making about 1,000 mortgages a year in the city. But there's large portions of the city that don't see any mortgage lending at all. It's mostly being done in a few selected neighborhoods like Palmer Woods and East Riverfront. And 4 out of 5 home sales in the city are probably still done with cash or land contracts, which is a very disadvantageous way to buy a home. Lots of problems with that. And as you mentioned, that white people who are probably moving into the city in bigger numbers now are getting almost half the mortgages that are being made. So even though the needle has moved somewhat in the right direction, we have a long way to go still.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think when people see headlines like this or read stories like this, the first question is this principally about race? Is race the thing that is holding people back from being able to get financing?
Well, race and poverty underlie the issue totally.
Right.
There's no question about that. I think the mainline issues tend to be there's low appraisals in the city because home values have been low for so long. And they don't support mortgages, bad credit on the part of a lot of Detroit residents. But I think really anything that makes it harder to live in the city, including high cost of car insurance, lack of educational credentials, high cost of child care, anything that makes it harder to live makes it harder to qualify for a mortgage.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of programs that are doing a lot of good, and we'll talk about those, and they have helped. But we just have a long way to go, I think.
And so one way to look at it is we have eliminated the ability for banks to just look at someone's race and say, I won't give you a mortgage. But because there are lingering disparities between black and white in our society, the things that they do look at still pick up racial differences.
That legacy of race and poverty is still
there.
Still there.
Yeah. Libby, you guys work really hard at trying to turn this ship around. I can't imagine you were surprised by what we saw in the Free Press, though.
No, we see it, and that's what we're working every day to address. So at Southwest Solutions, we offer homebuyer education and one-on-one support for anybody that's interested in purchasing a home. I would say probably 75% of the people we are working with are people of color. We support both long-term people that need a lot of TLC along the way to become mortgage ready, but then also there's a good number of people who have the credit score but maybe just need some down payment assistance to help offset the cost. And if they're at a certain income level, they'll be eligible for it. So those are kind of more fast-track home buyers. The majority of the people that we're working with who are white are coming through that door.
Yeah.
And so they're getting access to programs like Detroit Home Mortgage, Mishta's down payment assistance, and then we're trying to offer one-on-one support to everybody to get all those resources so that they can too become a homeowner.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people think to themselves, I need to buy a home, I want to buy a home. Oftentimes, though, they don't really know all of the things that you should have kind of in order before you do that.
We have over 100 people a month reaching out to us because they want to purchase a home. So the demand is there. For all the reasons you were saying, it's very difficult for people to achieve that. What we really focus on is helping people understand what a bank is going to look at to say yes or no, you're eligible for a mortgage. And it's not just being eligible for a mortgage, but the better your credit, the more money you have for down payment assistance, the more affordable that mortgage is going to be in the long run. Because if you don't have enough down payment, you'll have to pay mortgage interest as kind of a security for the bank. So we will work with individuals on ways to improve their credit score. We'll look at their credit, student loans, medical debt, all these things. We're seeing it. We're seeing it. And that's a whole other issue too. But so we work with people to pay off debts, prioritize how to do it so that they can improve their credit, work towards savings. And then fortunately, programs like MSHDA's down payment assistance offers $7,500 down payment assistance. For a little bit, they had a $15,000 down payment assistance program. And there's so many people in the city that are living paycheck to paycheck. They're making it. They're making it happen. They're reliable renters. But to cross that hump and become a homeowner, they need that extra support. So we're very grateful for, it's over 100 people each year that we've been able to help to become a homeowner. So, but the demand, we could do so much more.
I was going to say, right.
We could do so much
more. There's a lot of work to do. John, what do the banks say about this?
Well, the banks say they admit that they used to redline the city. I think everybody admits that, and they're trying. They used to think it was simply a matter of putting more mortgage capital into the system, and then they found out that there's all these appraisals, all these problems with lower appraisals and so on. But the advantage of buying a home through a mortgage is so much greater than buying it with cash. First you establish credit,
right?
That's good. You establish comparable values, so everybody else in the neighborhood can now get a mortgage. And of course, you can buy a much larger asset with a mortgage than you could just with cash alone.
Right.
And so, the home buying has always been a ticket to the middle class for the majority population in America, and that's been denied in Detroit and a lot of cities like Detroit. And so, it's really important that everybody understands how. This is not a side issue. This is as important an issue as we have in the city for building wealth, family wealth and generational wealth.
And so because it's geographic in the way that it plays out, you've got all of these neighborhoods where it's almost impossible really to get a mortgage, and then you've got some places where it's getting easier, I guess, to get a mortgage. Is there a thought that this is just a matter of time before the values come up in these sort of stable neighborhoods and that spills over maybe to these other neighborhoods and makes it easier to get a mortgage, or do we have to do something more proactive?
Well, there are programs to target neighborhoods that are not doing very well. So the Land Bank's Rehab and Ready program, where they go to a neighborhood like Bagley on the northwest side and deliberately take homes and spend money up front to rehab them and fix them up, and then sell them to a buyer. Which will qualify for a mortgage. So there's interventions in certain neighborhoods beyond sort of Grandmont, Rosedale, and Indian Village to jumpstart these things. And the good news is once you get a few mortgage loans in a neighborhood, you tend to get more because now you have
snowballing effect.
Yeah, snowballs. Or someone said you get the flywheel turning. So I think some of it's going to spread from Midtown and downtown and Palmer Woods, and some of it we just have to intervene in some of the hard-hit neighborhoods.
Are the banks helping with what you guys are trying to do as well?
Yes, absolutely. And there's some banks that have really stepped up to take time to address the special needs of Detroit, too. I think, banks, realtors, everybody in the homeownership ecosystem can make a lot of money in the easy markets where, you can sell a home for $500,000. To sell a home for $50,000 in Detroit, it's very different. So I'm very grateful for the banks and realtors and everybody that we're working with that understand the value, and it's more than just the revenue that you'll get at the end, and helping to have the neighborhoods become more stable.
I think we do have a lot of smart people working on this, and there's a lot of programs. There's multiple programs working on this. I think the question is how fast is it going to do some good? It's obviously doing some good. How fast does it really pick up and get going?
That's a critical question for the mayor and the city administration, which has really, I think, changed the narrative about the city away from what happens in downtown and midtown to the neighborhoods, and they have a lot that they're, I think, proud of accomplishing there. This shows how wide the gap still is, though.
Yeah, the mayor's recent State of the City address was entirely about the neighborhoods.
That's right.
And but you're right. I think we've made some really good progress, but I think people understand we're still at the front end of this recovery.
An interesting thing that's going to be happening is there was a lot of neighborhoods that were financed through low-income housing tax credit, single-family homes, and those homes are now, the 15 years is up, so the renters of those homes have the opportunity to purchase those
them,
homes.
sure.
So we're working in the Newberry neighborhood in partnership with the Yaker Foundation, and we have about 60 homes. It's really interesting because they're renters who are happy in their home renting, but they have this amazing opportunity to purchase a home.
To be a homeowner.
Yeah, and so I was looking at the lovely map that was in your article. It was very nice, and there was 0 mortgages in this neighborhood. But because of this partnership that we have, in the next few years, there might be 60 mortgages
could be, right.
in that.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of very creative things happening with Detroit Home Mortgage, the land bank, these low-income housing tax credit communities. I think we need to continue developing communities in that way. So in the future, there's a continuous pipeline for renters to become homeowners as well.
And we have to deal with the Wayne County tax auction.
Right.
Because
Yes.
having tens of thousands of people
Yes.
lose their home
Right.
and lose any kind of family wealth, generational wealth, that we have to deal with that.
That feeds right into this
this
gap.
problem.
And the city's doing creative things to address that too.
Yeah, they're working, but it's
Right.
going to take a while. Okay,
Yes.
John Gallagher, Libby Palackdharry. Why do I never get
It's
your
a
name
tough one.
right?
It's all right, nobody
We've
does.
known each other forever. Thanks for being here.